Okay, everybody. Oh, man. All right, well, the joys of a new camera. I started working on hooking up the streaming 30 minutes before I was supposed to go live, and, well, apparently I needed a lot more than 30 minutes. There was a setting I needed to turn off, which I did not know existed. The problem with having a different camera and different streaming and YouTube is when you talk to these different people, they always say, hey, I can only handle our part of it. So anyhow, excuses, it's been a great weekend, so we cannot let something like this ruin it. I'm still going to go until 6 o'clock. My apologies if you were here from 4 to 5. That's my fault, and I apologize about that, but hopefully we'll get things running smoothly. Let me move this up a little closer to my mouth. Hopefully the sound is fine. I'm using new microphones. I'm using a new camera. For me, the lighting is a little off. I'm not sure what the deal is, but at the same time, I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm just glad that we're here. I look a little pale, but pretend you're watching a post interview from Night of the Living Dead or what have you. Audio's a bit weird. Well, again, I'm going to kind of just go with the way it is. As long as you can hear me and as long as you can see me, we will figure out the rest of the details at another point, I think. Maybe if I turn off this light, it will make the... Let's see if that makes me a little less washed out. All right. So anyhow, we have a lot of different questions to get to, so I'm going to get to those questions in a bit. Syncing is off probably because it's a new camera, and well, now I'm all dark, huh? Let's see if I can mess with that audio buffering time. I'm afraid to mess with the audio buffering time, but that has never stopped me before. Yeah, we're gonna have to mess with the audio buffering time at another point. All right, well, everybody, framing's a bit off. All right. Let's see here. There. Hopefully the framing is on now. I'm not as washed. I'm not as bright, but I'm here. Okay, so audio is there. Okay, well, whatever. Let's just get started. So, questions on the Q&A. Now, I've noticed a couple things on the Q&A. I was going through ahead of time and going through. Sometimes I delete questions that I'm not going to answer because there's no reason for people to upvote them. I'm not going to answer them. By the way, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. If you have questions, the first half of this, I'm going to be taking questions from Q&A. There's a link in the description of this video where you can go ask questions and, more importantly, vote up questions that other people ask, so you have a chance to upvote questions. Now, if you ask any sort of question and say something to the effect of, please upvote this, I won't answer it, okay? I just want you to ask the question. Don't try to manipulate people to upvote your things. I want people to upvote questions that they think are good. And even if your question gets upvoted to the top, I still might not answer it for a huge variety of reasons. And for that, I apologize, but I will try to get to it. Someone said my shirt looks too big. You're right. I still have not gotten a new... I really like the Dice Tower t-shirts. This one is XXL. I now wear XL, which I'm pleased about. But, yeah, so it looks too big. But I guess having your shirt look too big is better than having it look too small, I think. So anyhow, let's get to the questions. I love the top 10s we used at Sam and Z, but I also enjoyed the recent top 10 with Rado and Jason. Will there be more top 10s with other contributors in addition to your great regular top 10s? First of all, thank you very much. There will be on very rare occasions. All right, there will be you will see at least one more this year, maybe sooner rather than later, of other top 10s. But some people have talked about this online, and some people said, oh, well, you should do them through Google Hangout. I might do that at some point, but there's so much better to do live. Also, for me to do a top 10 like that, the way I do those top 10s, I need to be completely comfortable with the people that I'm doing the top 10 with. And like with Sam and Z, we're very comfortable. We go back and forth. With Rado and Jason, it was the very same thing. It was a different experience, but we were able to go back and forth. You know, Rado said, "You fool," and I didn't flip the table because it was just all in good fun, right? And some people aren't as good in that situation, but also the people have to kind of be here. There's a lot of people in my gaming group who I love playing games with, but they would not be as good in those situations back and forth. It is something that you kind of have to work towards and be good at. So I would like to do more of those, and it's a possibility. I just can't promise that you will see that many more of them this year. Also, it was really great that Rado came in, but that was a pretty high expense for the Dice Tower to do that, so we have to be careful how many times a year we do that sort of thing. Let's see here. Since your house is now a place of employment, do your employees still knock when they come over, or do they walk just right in? I would assume you would always knock at someone else's house, no matter what. I always would. Doesn't matter how many times I'm allowed in their house, I think I would still knock. But anyway, they knock. With the sheer volume of information individuals coming through the Dice Tower's live stream at an event like Gamma, is it a challenge to keep everyone's games and vocabulary G-rated and family-friendly? It is a challenge, although I wouldn't say we keep it G-rated. I'd say PG is probably closer. The games, if a game gets through that's not G-rated or something, or family, I'm just going to say family-friendly. This G-rated, PG-rated. If a game gets through, that's probably my fault. I'm the one who vets the games. There are some games that won't show up in our live stream because I didn't ask that company to come on because I didn't think that game was appropriate. As for things that slip up in language, I do my best to contain it, but I don't know what I'm going to come in and slap people or, oh, that's a strike against you. Anytime, things have slipped up before on our live streaming, and every time the people have apologized, they've never been like, ha, 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 look what I did. If they were, I probably wouldn't have them on live streaming anymore. But for the most part, I think it's fine. I can't control everything that comes through it to every minor detail. I do my best to keep it as family friendly as possible. I'll take full responsibility for anything that does happen on the channel. It's my fault. Blame me. But I'm going to have mercy on when people might make a mistake here and there because it's live streaming. There's only so much we can do, but I will do my best. Let's see here. What happened to Forbidden Stars? I think you said it was the best thing since sliced bread. Now it's not even on the F Alpha Best list. Okay, well, which, as far as I understand, your top 260 games. No, that's not my top 260 games because some letters have more and some letters have less. Like in my top 260 games, I promise you I don't have 10 games that start with the letter Q. Just doesn't happen. Anyhow, Forbidden Stars I just forgot. I went through... I spent a long time on these lists, going through every letter of the alphabet, every game that I owned, and somehow I missed Forbidden Stars. So, sorry. It would have been on the top 10. Bumping out, what was the number 10? Number 10 was Fields of Arle from Uwe Rosenberg, which is a great game, but it would have been number 11. So, Forbidden Stars would have probably been number 5 on the list. So, my apologies. I did mention it in the comments on the video. I probably should put it actually in the description so I don't keep getting asked this. No, Forbidden Stars has not had this massive drop-off for me. I don't know. Sometimes that happens, I suppose. What do you think of Jared Whitley's Top 100 format? I feel like it's not really a Top 100 at all, but rather a group of Top 10s. I know a lot of others have voiced opinions, and he's taking a lot of guff for it. He's also getting a lot of praise for it, too. What do you think about his format? His format is his own. I did not give him a strict format to follow. And so I think it's unique and interesting that he's done this. But if it makes you feel better, you'll never see a top 100 list like that again on our channel. Why are so many publishers, despite your advice for explaining games, so boring and bad at explaining their own games? They often dive straight into mechanics, describe their games in comparison to other games, and are frequently dull public speakers. And that is very true. There are many publishers who cannot do a good job at explaining their own game. Many publishers on our live streaming sent somebody else to do it, someone in their company who was good at explaining the games, and I like that. But the answer is simple, because not everyone's good at everything. I don't know how to order cards from a card company in China. That's not my forte. So that's not something I'm good at. But a lot of small publishers are doing everything. So I give them some slack that sometimes they have a hard time. I would say, though, every publisher should practice it. They really should, because they're going to be put in a situation where they're going to need to pitch their game. And they shouldn't say things like, well, this game's kind of like, no, don't say that at all. Just explain how this game is good. Don't jump in, well, this has an action role selection. What if people don't know what that is? Tell me briefly why the game is so fascinating and fun. What Gamma preview or release surprised you the most? Oh, I was surprised to hear there was a Galaxy Quest game coming out. I'm not sure there was anything else that I was just like, wow, but that's because a lot of times I find out about some of this stuff ahead of time. I was surprised that there was a Godfather game with Kumani Not and Eric Lang, if only because I thought IDW had that license. I didn't realize it was an open license and that it was slumming around with all the different publishers. Tom, is there a game you'd love to play but can't seem to win in? Many, many, many games are like that. Have you watched Rado's videos? Well, I haven't watched them all, but I've watched some of them, sure. I don't think I would have had him on the show unless I had known who he was at least a little bit. Have you seen the Loki suicide ship strategy not win in Blood Rage? Oh, of course. Yes, I've seen it not win. Let's see. How do you usually keep components of a game inside a box if there's no inserts? I put them in plastic bags and rubber bands for the cards. Don't you feel that Champions of Midgard is more similar to Stone Age rather than Lords of Waterdeep? Possibly, but I'll say that it's maybe somewhere in between those. Let's see. Do you have a great comeback moment experience in a game where you were losing but made a late game-winning push? One that I remember, I was playing Axis and Allies Pacific against a guy who was insistent that he would destroy me, and I usually don't really want to trounce my opponents. But this guy just brought it out of me. And so in this game, there's three ways Japan can win. They can win by capturing one of two different places on the board. They can win but most of the time they just win by surviving long enough because the United States just gets stronger and stronger. But I was getting beat up by the United States pretty badly as Japan, and so I decided I was going to capture Australia, especially since this guy said it was impossible. I put everything into it and pulled it off. That felt very satisfying, and it was cool. Do you have favorite Easter eggs in movies and or games? I like watching Marvel movies to see all the different stuff that happens in the corners. I like reading online like, oh, look, they put this Easter egg in the game and movies. I like that sort of thing. I don't need it, but I find it fascinating and fun to look at. I don't have any favorite one, though. Does it feel weird that your wife is not pregnant right now? That does not feel weird. Let's see, my son just turned 2, so it's been 2 years she hasn't been pregnant, but before, yeah, that's true. No, it doesn't feel weird. I think we've reached an age now where we're like, all right, kids are wonderful. Let's see as they get older. Let's see what happens. I think you've seen the last Vasel child be born of one era, anyway. With many companies waiting to release their games at Gen Con and Essen, what games should I be on the lookout for at Origins? Well, unfortunately, I don't have a list of the games being released at Origins yet. I know I heard a couple companies tell me games are being released there. I believe one of the Dice Tower Essentials game we're hoping is at Origins. Onitama is that's the first big convention Onitama will be at, so that's one. But other than that, I don't know. I'll know closer to Origins. Who's to blame for all today's technical issues, causing the stream to start late or potentially not at all? Me! Or also this wire was part of the problem. This wire worked for me and he did a bad job, but I'll take full responsibility for it. Yeah. I'm still learning. I apologize. We will attempt to get better as time goes by. I haven't used this camera for streaming before. I used it once briefly. So anyhow, we're learning. What's your favorite game that you were late to the party on? It came out, but for some reason you didn't play it until years after its release. Either Heartland or On the Underground. Have you ever convinced someone to buy a game because you wanted to try it out? I don't think so. If I really wanted to try a game out that badly, I think I would buy it. I don't know. I don't think I've ever done that. Hey Tom, what are your thoughts on AlphaGo beating the world's #1 Go player in a best of 5 series? Is it a great advance in technology or a scary realization? I'll just say it's an advance in technology. I mean, it's still in the set of rules for Go. It's not like the computer is trying to take over the world and has to modulate 6,000 different things. I'm not worried about it. Do you think redundancy second editions on BGG are good? It's not a big deal, but I think it's less interesting that there are 2 Through the Ages and 2 War of the Rings in the top 100. Shouldn't they be combined into one? No, I don't think they should be combined into one, because if I want to comment on one, or I might rate them differently, sometimes the first, second editions are really big differences. For example, Twilight Imperium, first, second, and third edition are all very different games. At the same time, it would be nice if only one of those versions could make it to the top 100, but I don't know how they could possibly code something like that. When I do the Dice Tower People's Choice, it's easy. I'll combine them or something. I'll say only vote for one edition. And then if people vote for different Cosmic Encounter editions, for example, I'll combine them. But I don't like having the same ones in the top 100. Do you have a timeline when the new Prophecy of Dragons review will be up? I'd love to, but I don't actually own the game yet. I believe it's going to land on my doorstep today. I know that's late. There are other people. However, I believe I'll get the next Time Stories thing faster than that. I feel pretty confident I'll get that one a little quicker than this one. It's no big deal. We're going to play it. It'll be turned around fairly quickly. I would say there's a good chance you'll see it next week. But I do have some cool stuff I'm talking about this week, which I'm excited. I just, before I did this, has polished off a bunch of reviews that I'm excited about. Let's see. Let's see here. When you sit down to play a game with a group of new people, do you try to get to know them at all? I found that many board gamers at meetups aren't interested in talking or meeting. They just want to play, but that feels weird to me. Any advice? I don't know if I've run into that. I usually will ask people things like, ask them about what they do a little bit. Sometimes the game is very interactive, so that game kind of takes place. I think that kind of conversation happens when games are slower, maybe, or when there's more thinking involved, so I'll make chit-chat. I don't know. I like to get to know people. I think it's fun, and if someone wants to talk to me about stuff during a game, I would not have a problem with it, but some people do, so I guess just respect that if they're not interested in sharing. If that bothers you, I'd pick someone else to play with, maybe. Have you ever tried to create a foam box insert yourself? I have not. Have you had a chance to play Millennium Blades yet? Yes, you should see a review for that next week. What's the name of the music you use in the clapping supercut video? I don't know off the top of my head, but I got it from smartsound.com. It's one of the... I pay for a lot of tracks that I can use royalty free there, and I have about 600 tracks, and I don't remember that one in particular, honestly, but that's where I got it, and I really did enjoy it. There's probably a music search program in the internet that would find it. I don't know, but it is one of my favorite pieces. Are you going to the Gathering of Friends this year? Yes, I am. You mentioned how many times do you sit down to play a game during a week? A lot. It depends on what the week is. Do you keep the silica gel packs in your game box to protect them from the high humidity of southern Florida? I don't, because here in the house for sure the humidity comes out because of the air conditioning. Also, I don't want my kids eating those, or my baby. No one else will eat them, hopefully. Let's see. You mentioned that you're overwhelmed for questions for the podcast, but are struggling for questions to do with Jason. That is not the case. Okay. A few weeks ago, we put out said, we need questions, and I'm overwhelmed with questions for Jason. So we're not running out of questions there either. How likely is another Question Palooza podcast? That's actually possible that you will see one of those show up at some point, but I don't know. Without easy access to conventions, what would you do to recommend to designers to get designs seen by publishers? Start a blog? Maybe? Start saving money to go to a convention? Really? I think that's what I would do in those two situations. Find the closest publisher to you. Maybe go visit them. Let's see. Do you see the Dice Tower as a news source, a review channel, or a hybrid of both? I see this as an entertainment network about board games. We both review board games. We talk about board games. We do entertainment about board games. We do shows about board games. We promote board games, and we give news about board games. Is it hard having a relationship with designers and get them to come on and talk about their games? Of you have given them your games bad reviews in the past? Well, not necessarily so much. For a couple reasons. One, I'm not the Dice Tower. I'm just the president of the Dice Tower. So there are many other people, and if someone has only designed one game and I've beaten it up, and I might feel awkward, then I'll have someone else talk to that person, and they'll feel more at ease. I found, though, that 99% of designers are pretty forgiving about these sorts of things, and are certainly willing to talk, and they just accept it as par for the course. If it's a publisher and their only game is a game that I have destroyed, 9 times out of 10 they go out of business anyway, because I'm usually in the majority there. But when I don't, and let's say I don't like a game, but then everyone else loves it, then they can sit there and when we see each other, I'm like, I guess I'm wrong about your game. I was talking to Cryptozoic guys. They know I don't like DC Deck Builder, but we still get along. I like their other games that they do, many of their other games. So. And some of my other guys like DC Deck Builder. So it's not as awkward as might seem. It's only as awkward as you make things. What's my favorite game to travel with? I don't know. If I'm going to travel with games, I travel with a lot of them. If I only have room for a small game, I don't bring any. I just bring my iPad. Do you think you'll ever try to design or co-design another game? Well, never say never again, but I am currently not doing it, and I'm currently not planning to do it. That, of course, could change. When culling games, do you take into consideration that your kids might enjoy the game when they grow up? I do not, because by the time they grow up, there'll be 6,000 other games available, so they'll be fine. Has Blood Rage completely replaced Kemet? No, I love them both. I don't know which one I like better. You'll have to wait to my top 100 this year to find out. Tom, is it a conflict of interest to be working so closely with Arcane Wonders when you are a reviewer? How can you give a bad review to one of their games when you are essentially partners? Because I will. Okay? I will give their games a bad review. In fact, Mage Wars Battlegrounds, I think. I forget the name of the expansion. The one that they're coming out with. Well, they came out with it last summer. I still have it. I wanted to do a little bit more of it before I reviewed it, but I really don't like it. It's too specific. It's just it adds a modular board. I didn't know anyone was asking for a modular board in Mage Wars. It has a lot of cards that only work in certain scenarios, which is useless to me when playing Mage Wars. So I was like, I don't like it that much. Does that prove it to you? I don't know what I could do to prove it to you, right? But I'm just honest when I talk about board games. Now, if it's Dice Tower Essentials, I promise you the review will always be good because I liked the game enough to bring it to them so that they would publish it. If they publish other games not in the Dice Tower Essentials line and I don't like them, I will certainly say so. I'm a partnership only with Dice Tower Essentials, not with the rest of it, and I am not afraid to call a spade a spade. They know this too, but I do try to be fair with games, and I went to them with Dice Tower Essentials because I thought they put out a good product with Mage Wars, and because I thought they had a good vision to where Dice Tower Essentials would go. Let's see, where are we at? Do you have any adventures? Do you have any information? Okay, wait. information on the Tales of Arabian Nights retheme? Is it still being worked on? As far as I know, that's a project in developmental hell at this point. I'm not sure on that though. Don't quote me on it. I just said it publicly, but I think that's where that is, but I don't know. Have your interactions with designers or publishers ever negatively affected your opinion of their product? For example, has a great game been tarnished by the bad actions of a publisher designer? I don't know if I've ever let that affect my opinion of the game itself. I'm in a position where I know a lot about different publishers and designers. And, there's a lot of things about publishers and designers that have hit the internet and people yell and scream about this publisher did this and this designer did this and this stuff. But in the industry, that doesn't happen that often, but it happens more than people find out because most publishers and designers are pretty classy and don't talk about their problems that they have with other people online. But you find out about this stuff. And so, you'll sit there and go, man, that guy's a real jerk. And there's a new game, and that game looks pretty good. Well, then so what? You review the game for what it is. You don't review the person. The designer of the game and I might have extremely different philosophical life choices or what have you. But that doesn't affect my opinion of their game. They might dislike me. They might say, we're never sending you a review copy again, which some publishers have said, right? If I get their game from another source, we treat it the same as any other review because whatever. Our goal is not to please the designer publishers. Our goal is to tell you guys the absolute truth. This game is good or this game is bad. Well, in our opinions, of course. It's a good question, though. All right. Let's see here. What is my favorite movie soundtrack? Well, I'm going to list a bunch of them in order. Not in order. I have to make a top 10 list. I'm pretty sure my favorite movie soundtrack would be the Lord of the Rings trilogy, although I really like the Hobbit trilogy also. Although, off the top of my head, the Hobbit trilogy only has a couple themes that I could recognize, like the Dwarves theme is great. While the Lord of the Rings has more themes. Star Wars itself is a great piece of music. Indiana Jones, I've always enjoyed those. I'm a big fan of John Williams and all his stuff. There's just a lot of different pieces that I enjoy music-wise. I'd probably have to put them down. I'm thinking I like Schindler's List. I like The Last Starfighter. I like The Rocketeer. Gladiator is a good soundtrack. There's a lot of really good soundtracks out there, and oh man, ever since I discovered Spotify, I'm just so happy because I can listen to so much music all the time. It's fantastic. Dice Tower Kickstarter 2017. What's left to do that has not already been done? Well, I did tell my wife today we're not hiring anyone else in 2016 because bringing all these people on board and all the stuff that we did, it looks like we raised a lot of money for Dice Tower 2016, but we are going to be pushing our limits money-wise. It's going to be an interesting year. Well, I want to make sure that we can get everything done, and I think in 2017, I'll be looking at it as kind of a stabilizing year for the company. This is a year of growth for us. Next year, let's stabilize, but we'll continue to make things better. I do think you can hopefully see things getting better. Don't use this video as an example of that. But our Gamma coverage, I'm really proud of that. I thought it came out really well. The reviews that I've been recording this week with the new microphone and new camera, I think they are looking better. Derek Porter will be showing up in a couple weeks, and when he starts working with us, when we can start using 3 of these in a top 10 list, hopefully that will come across well too, and lighting and stuff. I think you'll see bigger and better things as time goes by. Would you be willing to show us more of your component wall? I would. Ask me next week. I'm a little tired right now. When I don't want to mess with the camera and move it around right now. So ask me next week and hopefully I'll have a chance to do that then. Are the numbers better for Blender than for breakfast? I like the contributors on Blender better. I fast forward through much of breakfast. Well, first of all, thank you. Secondly, that's why we have 2 different shows. Some people like one show better than the other show. I like both shows. I do. I I would steal all of Z's contributors if I could for Board Game Breakfast, but I think each show does its thing. I'm pretty happy. I was really happy with today's show. We had some pretty cool contributors, some new people, new things. Ian James came back. It was just a lot of fun to do. And, of course, Z is probably a better host than I am. That's fine. But I think both shows hold their part. You don't like one, then we have the other. That's the whole purpose of our channel, really. You don't like Tom's reviews? Fine, watch Sam's. You hate his? Z's there. You hate his? Well, we got the Meeple people. We got Board Game Corner. We got all these different reviewers. You hate them all? Maybe our top 10 list. Oh, you hate that too? Well, we got the Dice Tower Network, lots of podcasts. You hate them all? Why are you gaming? You gotta like something. Although there is always those people who are like, I don't watch videos or listen to podcasts. Well, that's fine. So they don't know that I'm saying this then about them. I'm not really even saying anything negative about them. That's fine if you don't like them or not. But anyhow. Sam's shown his love for Zombicide Black Plague, but what are your thoughts? I liked it. I don't know that I love it. I feel like the same way about Zombicide. It's fine. It's interesting. It was fun. It was better than Zombicide, but I wouldn't say it's eons better. That changing that rule is good. I felt like I had a little bit more focus than Zombicide, which was kind of like just run around and see what happens. But I still don't know that I would ever love the game. Tom, did having Rado over change the dynamic of the group much? He is well known for having different tastes in you guys. Well, he's different. Sure, it changed our dynamic somewhat, but our dynamic changes with anybody who comes on board. I had a lot of fun playing games with him. He gets into games. He's a little AP prone, but not horribly so. And we had a lot of fun. He was interesting to play social deduction games. He was very... You could tell it wasn't his forte, right? He doesn't like to lie to other people. So that's probably, tough for him to do that sort of thing. But I had fun playing with him. If he was in my gaming group, I'd play with him all the time. Is it possible for a game featured on Miami Dice to receive the Dice Tower Seal of Excellence? Yes, Dice Tower Seal of Excellence is for any game that we rate, that any one of us reviewers rates 8, 9, or 10. So, like for example, Star Wars Rebellion has a Dice Tower Seal of Excellence because we both rated that 8 or higher on our thing. We have that arbitrary thumbs up rating system, but you can see our actual rating if you watch Recon Review or go to the Dice Tower website. How goes the diet, says Mr. Keith Collins. And I mention his name because I know Keith is on a diet and he's doing better than I am. So congratulations to that, sir. Look forward to seeing you at a convention this year. It's going okay. Vegas was a bit of a surprise, but you know what? I only gained a pound or 2 in Vegas and I ate like all get out there, but I also walked about 10 miles a day. So that kept that going off. I ate a really nice meal yesterday for Easter. And so what I'm finding is I'm eating small, healthy meals all the time. And every once in a while, I don't. And then I go back to eating small, healthy meals. And you know what? When I'm eating those small, healthy meals, I'm sitting there going, this day is coming up here. I'm going to be able to eat that really good meal. And then I can wait. And this has really done well. I hope to lose more weight. I've certainly plateaued at this point in time. Not losing a ton. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. But I'm very happy where I'm at. In fact, I was telling my wife I'm not wearing my wedding ring right now because I got it off for the first time in a couple years. I could not get it off. It was stuck on my finger. I pulled it off, so I'm leaving it off for a few days to let my finger kind of heal from having that ring around it. I will put it back on. I love my wife very much. But just little things like that, needing to buy new shirts and new pants. That's not a cheap thing, but it was a good feeling. So in that respect, the diet goes well. And I don't mean to keep going on about this because I know that when you meet someone on a diet and all they do is talk about it, you're like, oh, please shut up. So I will shut up about that. But congratulations again to Keith. Let's see, we'll take a couple more here from Q&A, and then we will go to the YouTube. Anyway, Tom, I'm looking for a good Civ game similar to Civ on the PC. In your opinion, which is most similar to the PC Civ or most thematic? Trying to stay away from a dry Euro type. Well, probably Sid Meier's Civilization is the closest to the newest Civilization. It's closest to Civilization 5, I would say. The closest to the original civilizations, probably Through the Ages. I don't know if you'd find that one dry or not. I find that one a lot of fun. It does lack the board movement part of the game, but that's probably all for the best. Let's see here. If a random board gamer knocked on your door without announcing himself first, and they asked if they could have a few games with you in your basement, would you let them in? Well, a couple things. First of all, I don't have a basement. We live in Florida. Secondly, you can't just randomly knock on my door because we live in a gated community, for better or for worse. However, let's say this was a possibility. I might let someone in to play games with them. I've let strangers come to my house before, but it would depend on how busy I was at the time, right? What's the farthest you've ever gone down the rabbit hole called geek modding? I don't do geek modding very much. I know a lot of people like to do that sort of thing. I find that stuff kind of mundane. You just keep clicking. I'm like, whatever. I'll let other people geek mod. Is there any way for us to know if you played a game which Sam or Z has reviewed, and a way for us to know what you thought of it? For example, Sam recently reviewed Pirates of the Seven Seas. Did you play that, and if so, what did you think? In that specific example, I did not play it, so I did not think. Sometimes I have played games that they have reviewed. The best way to find out what I think about those, I specifically will try to save those games to put on the Dice Tower podcast. I usually talk about them there. Tom, instead of using Ameritrash or Amerithrash, what do you think about Ameritheme? As in, Euros are not typically thematic, whereas titles like Twilight Imperium are very thematic. Nah, I'm going to keep using Amerithrash. Or I'll just say thematic game. I'm not like stuck on anything. Did I see Batman vs. Superman? Yes, I did. Quick review of the movie. I won't be very spoilerish in this movie. But I would rate it a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10. 6 is maybe being generous. I didn't hate it like some people did, and I didn't love it like some people did either. I just found the whole thing kind of meh. I went to watch it first without my kids. I said I'll bring them later if it was good, and I won't take them to see it. It's a little dark for them, and I found it joyless, I guess. And they love Batman and Superman, the animated series, and they love the Justice League stuff. They love that, and I'm glad they love superheroes. But Wonder Woman was amazing. I thought that Ben Affleck did a good job as Batman, but I subscribe to the school that Batman does not kill deliberately, which I felt he did in this movie. There was a minor character in the DC universe had met an untimely, odd end for no reason. Lois Lane is a nincompoop. The way that the Batman and Superman fight happened was so ham-fisted, and the character that caused it to happen was also ham-fisted. And then it ended abruptly and oddly. There was a whole section in the middle, which I still don't understand. It was very convoluted. The rest of the Justice League, they shoehorned in such a really obvious way. And they also put in a lot of stuff that could have made for a cool movie on its own. They tried to put it in the movie altogether. As it was, I left and I was like, eh. However, we did have a lot of fun, me and Z, with Sam, because we were talking about who's going to win, Batman or Superman. I think after watching it, it was pretty obvious who won that fight. I'm just saying. But either way, would I watch it again? Maybe on video. But Marvel kicks DC around the block. I didn't hate it, though. Okay. Q&A is done. I answered 54 questions. I feel pretty good about that. I'm now moving over to YouTube. I'll be answering questions here. I'm not going to answer all of them. And I'm only going to answer the ones that start after me saying this. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments for YouTube there. Well. So let's go and answer some questions here. Are my t-shirts sorted by color in my closet? Not really, but I can see what color they are when I put them on. Any advice about acquiring rights to a license when designing a game, specifically Lost? I know there's been one based on it before, but would it be best to contact the publisher, ABC? No. Do not acquire a license as a designer. Let the publisher worry about that. You design a game, And if you want to base it on IP, fine, but be prepared to change it from that IP if it doesn't happen. But don't try to do that stuff on your own. There's lawyers and all that stuff involved. I highly recommend not designing based on a license unless you are asked to or contracted to. You might use one for inspiration, but I wouldn't go any farther than that. Whew. All right, let's see. How full up is the cruise? I know there's 50 rooms left. And I know that soon we're going to talk about, because we have to either give the rooms back to the cruise line if we don't sell all of them, or we're going to pay a penalty. And I know that the prices are going to go up on them very soon. So if you're considering doing it, don't delay. Do them soon. Am I excited to play Tyrants of the Underdark? Probably. Where do you recommend I start with expanding Summoner Wars after the Master Set? I would buy a couple small factions, like say, oh, that faction looks fun, and buy it. And just add a faction at a time. That's what I would do. Just pick ones that you think sound fun. Let's see. Have you ever played the advanced rounds of Time's Up? I have not, because I've never been able to persuade anyone to play those with me. Tom wants to say thanks for highlighting the girls' game shelf on Board Game Breakfast today. I agree. As soon as I saw their first video, I contacted them. I think they did a phenomenal job. Where did you get the 8-bit dice from the Board Game Breakfast? They showed up in the mail. I did a search for them, and I found them on the internet. It looks like distributors will have them in stores, gaming stores soon, I think, from what I can tell. Why doesn't Dice Tower have a Facebook page or group? We do. We do. All right. All right, let's see here. More questions, and this slid to the bottom again. What do you think about Kickstarter? From 300 top games on Board Game Geek, there's only 14 Kickstarter games. That will change as time goes by, probably. I think you're right that the number of quality games from Kickstarter is not as high as it should be, but it will likely get there. I'll say that number will double within a year, probably, and then triple another year after that. Something to that effect. It will never probably dominate the top 100, but you'll see more show up for sure. If you had to pick a Euro to play with Rado and Jason, what would it be? I'm going to go with Carson City. Guys, I did this. I did pick a Euro. Well, actually, Rado picked it. What is geek modding? That's from BoardGameGeek.com. You can go there, and if you want Geek Gold, you can geek mod, which means anytime someone submits new content to that site, pictures and videos and different things, a geek mod will go in and go, okay, that's good, and they'll say yes or no. And the majority will determine whether it comes in or out. But if you're like, oh, that picture's blurry, that shouldn't be here, or that video has nothing to do with a board game, you can do that too. And you just keep going through things. That's why it's called geek modding. You're a moderator. Am I still coming to Toronto? Yes, I believe I will be in Toronto at Snakes and Lattes at some point in a few weeks. I'm going to see a Blue Jays versus Yankees game. And then we're going to visit Snakes and Lattes. I don't know how much more we'll do other than that, but I'm excited to go to Canada. Welcome to chat, Tom. What's the heaviest and lightest game you've ever played? Heaviest is definitely Pitch Car. Carrying those boxes can give you a hernia. They're very heavy. Lightest is probably Love Letter. I think it's only like 12 cards or something like that. It's pretty light. Let's see. When are you planning to do more Tomverse Internet? Well, I was hoping to do some of that this week. However, with the induction of Time Stories, latest expansion showing up, we may be playing that later on this week. Again, it all depends on how everything else is planned and edited and reviewed. Like I said, this week, the content that we have is really going to go up. I'm excited. We have 2 top 10s. We have a lot of reviews. I've already recorded 5 today, and I was hoping to record a few more today, so I'm excited about that. So we'll see as time goes by. You will see more so-and-so versus the internet stuff. I don't know when, and but just keep an eye out for it. That's all I can say. After seeing the new artwork and pieces for Coliseum, what are your thoughts on the new version? I think I'd like to see it in person first, because I've only seen it. I wasn't there when they showed up at our booth at Gamma. The artwork, I like the way the board and everything looks. The box cover, the cartoony artwork, it's okay. It's still weird that the guy has lion claw marks on the inside of his shield. That slip cover, though, easy. I hate that for a couple reasons. First, I hate slip covers. Who wants a slip cover for a game? Ugh. I hate slip covers on books. They just get in the way. They're always falling all over the place. I get rid of them. And also, I hate the artwork. Ugh. The pieces look good. Are they better than Days of Wonder? I don't know. I'd have to compare them next to each other. I like the 3D Coliseum type pieces. Those are neat. I'm going to reserve judgment on that one until I actually see it in person. And we shot to the bottom. There's a reason I use Q&A for a lot of things. Are you pleased with the Board Game Geek website redesign so far? The bits I saw of it, I was in it for beta for a while, and I moved out because there was something I needed to do when I was uploading video, and I got kind of annoying doing it in a new site at that point in time. I don't know if it's been changed, so I just went back to the old site. And when they switch to the new site, I'll go in and learn and use it, whatever. It's no big deal. It looks fine. Has the board game industry reached a saturation point where innovative designs are becoming harder to find? I don't think so. They might be harder to find in how many games exist, but I think innovative designs are still coming out all the time. How do Kickstarter games work for the Dice Tower? Do you receive an advanced copy before backers with all the Kickstarter exclusives? Do you have to back projects, or are they considered review copies? I have backed a couple projects, but I consider them review copies. I don't always get Kickstarter games. I would say a vast majority I don't get sent as review copies because of a couple reasons. One, mostly that the majority of people who do games on Kickstarter have no scope beyond the Kickstarter. They're like, here's our Kickstarter, let's raise money, yay, we published a game, we're done. Like, all right, fine, if that's what you want to do, but if you want to go beyond that, you should be sending copies to reviewers and stuff. But that's fine, because I don't need a kabillion games showing up either. I don't ask for the Kickstarter exclusives. Sometimes I get them. It's if they ask me ahead of time, do you want the Kickstarter exclusives? If I think the game looks really awesome and cool, I might say yes, right? But for the most part, I think I'd say I'd prefer to get the game that you're going to sell in the retail version, because that's the game I'm reviewing. If they do send me Kickstarter exclusives, I have to separate that stuff out and not review it, because I want to be able to tell you guys what you can go buy. And like, for example, when I get the games from Cool Mini or not, they don't come with the Kickstarter exclusives, and I review them straight up. I don't even really know what all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff does. I mean, they have more monsters for Blood Rage and stuff. I haven't even seen them yet. Oh, I've seen them, but I haven't played with them. What are your thoughts on the Through the Ages expansion announcement? Oh man, cool. That sounds fun. Are you coming back to Grand Con in 2016? I am not. My apologies. You may see me there at some point in the future, but not in 2016. When are the Dice Tower Awards? You should see the nominees coming soon. That's something we need to get on. So we'll be working on that soon. If you come to Canada, will you be trying some poutine? I think that's how you pronounce it. I would if it was given to me. I'll try almost anything once. Will we see another live show in Essen? Yes, and maybe some singing there. Not sure. Probably not. Would you do Time Stories live? Probably not. Mostly because live is live, right? And so someone might accidentally tune in and hear a spoiler that they didn't mean to, and not realize that there's spoilers involved. I'd rather the also, I don't want to have it live because then the comments are live and someone might spoil me, and I don't want that to happen. So we'd rather pre-record those. What are your thoughts on LASIK? I think LASIK's a fine thing. It helps people get rid of their glasses and see. It sounds scary that someone would put lasers in their eye, but I guess it's not as scary and it takes less than 15 minutes, although recovery time can be a long time. But I hear it doesn't hurt the eyes that much and allows that person, again, to get rid of their glasses and wear really cool sunglasses sometimes, or not so cool sunglasses. That's what I've heard. So my thoughts on LASIK are positive. Will we show up at MeepleCon next year? And thank you for the nice words. Probably. It's right after Gamma. It was a really easy thing for us to do, and it was such a nice thing to do right after Gamma. We were pretty happy with that one. Some of you folks who are watching and doing it for the first time, you may not realize that asking a question multiple times actually does not make me answer it. Let's see here. Everyone keeps bashing on Dominion Adventures cardstock quality. What's your take on this? I think the cardstock quality was a little bit different. I didn't notice it that much. I did mix it with the regular Dominion. But I don't really think much about cards as I'm drawing them, so I didn't notice it that much. What's the best place to buy board games? Cool Stuff. In stock. Will there be a Mega Civ review? 0.1% maybe? I don't have the game. I have not played the game. I doubt I'll get the game. I don't think they would send me a review copy of the game. If they were planning to send me one, I might try to talk them out of it. I don't know that I would get it together and find enough people to play it and want to. They did a live stream of it. J.R. Honeycutt and his crew did a live streaming of it, and it looked so boring. So, how are the humidity and criminality where you live? I don't know. I don't think it's that criminal around here. It seems fine to me. For humidity, humidity's certainly high here in Florida, and I like it because I went to Las Vegas and I felt like a raisin. So I'm glad to be back in humidity. It's air conditioned everywhere here, so this doesn't bother me that much. Tom, what non-board gaming related Kickstarter are you most excited about right now? I don't know. Am I backing anything right now? I'm going to go look at Kickstarter. I may not be backing anything. I mean, backing stuff is fun and all, but I don't, it costs money. Backed projects. The Ultimate Spicy Beef Stick. I'm excited about that. How's that? I was backing the latest Dwarven Forge terrain for the castles. That looked pretty cool, but I just couldn't justify the money for it. And because of the way Dwarven Forge does their Kickstarters, they have all these really cool stretch goals that they will drop in, and you get a ton of extra content, and that ton of content is not showing up for this one. And so when I didn't have that extra content, I look at the price I'm paying for everything, and I was like, I'm really kind of buying an overpriced castle for my kids. I can probably just go buy a castle that's really cool from like Playmobil or something. So let's see here. Some of you are obviously just jumping in now because some of these questions I have already answered. Let's see here. When you look back to when you started the Dice Tower to where it's at now, how do you feel? Any regrets? Things you would do differently? I might have made some changes over the years and did things, certain reviews, different things, probably. Major changes, though, I'm really kind of happy with the progression. It was a long one, and that's okay. I was doing other things. If I had jumped into it full time way back when, I don't think I would have survived. I like where it's at this point in time, and I'm very blessed. So, no, I don't really have a lot of regrets, other than I played that one-upmanship game. That's probably a regret. Any big plans for Origins? Yes. At Origins, we'll be doing something very similar to Gamma. We'll be streaming live again from there, hopefully. Okay, we need to see if we can get the live streaming there at Origins. But if we can, we'll be streaming live. If not, we'll just be recording everything and releasing it afterwards, like we did here. So we're also going to be doing a live show at Origins. All that information, though, I do not know yet. I'm waiting to hear back from Gamma to find out when and where all this stuff will be happening. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I find that information out. I've been to a LASIK clinic. The lobby smells like toast. Okay, I don't think that's true. Okay, whatever. Let's see. With the Geek Chic table being over a year old, is it only a year old? I moved in this house with the table, so it's, and I'm in my 3rd year here, so it's definitely, it's 2.5 years old, at least. Anyway, okay. So anyway, any cons to the table that you wished you knew when you got it? No, not really any cons. I mean, would I buy it again? I think that the question more is this: would I buy it if I wasn't a game reviewer? See, that's kind of the question. I don't know. I certainly couldn't justify it really if I wasn't a game reviewer. Not with my income and family and everything. It's a business expense, so I was able to justify it for that. Would I buy it otherwise? I don't know. But there's no really regrets. It's a nice table. But I think what I might have done if I really wanted one is I might have taken the amount of money I'd spend on a Geek Sheet table, go find a guy who makes custom woodwork in town or something, and get a perfectly designed custom table. Maybe. I don't know. But there's no real cons about it. Has the ship finally sailed on reviewing Shadows of Brimstone? Probably likely, since I got rid of the game. Who did you vote for in the primaries and why? I don't believe that's anyone's business, and I just like to say that that is the only political question I'm going to answer on live chat, period, okay? I don't believe politics has any kind of place in the Dice Tower. Whatever my politics may be, and my contributors, we may actually highly disagree, me and my contributors and other people on here, but this channel is about games and geek culture, and I'll talk about those things, but politics is very divisive. I don't see any good for me talking about it. Here, it will only alienate people and cause people to have hard feelings. I believe there's a forums for politics. There's about 600 billion of them. Dice Tower is not ever going to be one of them as long as I'm in charge. Let's see here. How was the Tomverse Internet game selected? Oh, I just chose them. I picked, there's what I was looking for when I was picking games to play against the internet were games that would be easy to do that and games that would be interesting. So a game has to have open information if possible. I mean, I could hide information from the internet, but I can't hide your information from me, and do it properly. It might be possible to do a hidden information game if I play with the internet against somebody else. So we will try that. But it also has to be simple. It has to give people a few choices. You give people, 1,000 choices. How are they possibly going to decide what to do? And I just different games I wanted to highlight. I thought that the internet games for the most part went well. Some did not go as well as others. I think the Adventureland game went well. That was a lot of fun, that one. And the final Reifenbreit game also was a lot of fun to play. Those were the two I think that went the best. but I'm also learning as we go. We'll probably get better as time goes by. How do you decide when one of your kids is ready to participate in a grown-up game night? When I think they're mature enough. It has happened. How do you deal with the constant barrage of people trying to get you to play test their games at gaming cons? That's why I have a policy in place. It's hard for people to get upset at me when I say, look, I just don't play test games at conventions unless it's from an established publisher and the game's already on the market. I might, and even then I might say no. But for prototype games, I'm sorry, I can't play your game just because I really don't do that. If you can get someone else to play your game who I know and they come and tell me it's great, there's a chance I'll come play test your game. But unfortunately, if I do that, that's all I ever do at conventions. Also, I need to go over here. What is the filtering process for games that the Dice Tower reviews? Well, they all come in, we open them up, we look at them, we put them on a shelf, then they sit on that shelf till someone pulls it off and plays it. Then we review it. That's pretty simplistic, honestly. If it's on that shelf for a really long time, there will come a point where we'll say, look, we are either playing this game and reviewing it, or it's out. That's our review process. Is there anything I need to pre-book or register for Dice Tower Con? I don't believe we have any pre-registration or pre-booking at Dice Tower Con. When you get there, there's a book, and you can sign up for different events. All my events that I run, the shows and stuff, I do them first come, first serve. Because we used to do sign-ups for them, which was unfortunate because then people would want to come and other people would sign up and then not show up. First come, first serve is not fun for people because it means you got to show up early maybe. But we found that almost all of them, if you came 15 minutes early, you were able to get a seat. Now that may change as the convention gets bigger. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I really like that idea of how it works. Can you tell my daughter to go to bed, please? Go to bed! Don't fool around! Go to bed! My kids are probably outside the door thinking, what? It's not bedtime yet. Let's see. Do you feel like you got to play all the games you wanted to that got released in 2015? Oh, I like that question. Let's look this over, okay? So we're going to go to 20 games that were released in 2015. We'll do an advanced search. Yay, search is working on Board Game Geek. It was not last night, which was sad. Games from 2015 to 2015. And let's take a look at these, and then we'll sort them by the number of people who have rated that game. And we'll see if I'm interested in playing those games or not. So, all right. Okay, here's the first one. Exploding Kittens. I may play it at some point if it comes across my desk, but I have no desire to. The Grizzled. Oh, there's one. I do want to play The Grizzled at some point. I have not. I didn't worry about it because Z has played it, but I do want to check out The Grizzled. The Game. No, I'm not interested in playing that. Mombasa. That is on my short list to play. In fact, I may play that one very soon, actually. Arboretum. I could play that one. Lanterns. I need to play both of those, actually, at some point. Steampunk Rally, I'd like to play. Food Chain Magnate. There's one I really want to get played. The Bloody Inn. Yeah, I should play that one. Looney Quest. I really want to play Looney Quest. I want to get Looney Quest. Oh, Motanai. I have played that one. Let's give that one a rating of 5. Zombies Black Plague. Oh, I played that one too. Look at this. I'm rating games live. Ooh, the 5 Tribes expansion. I played that too. Oh, I did not like that one. Okay, let's see here. Churchill. I've not played. I don't need to play Churchill. Legendary Encounters Predator. No, I don't need to play that. Z's playing that one. Kingdom Death Monster. No, not really interested. Craft Wagon. I haven't played that one yet. I probably will though. Orleans Deluxe Edition has its own its own rating. All right. Um, A Study in Emerald Second Edition. That's another one I would like to play. Raptor, I like to play. Huh, I never gave Treasure Hunter a rating. Let's do so. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so that's all the games that have 500 or more ratings, I believe. We'll go down a little bit more, then we'll stop that. Gold West. Yeah, I need to play Gold West at some point. Oh my goods. Man, I hate the name of that game. Karuba. Yes, I do want to play Karuba too. But I'm feeling pretty good. For the most part, I've played most of the main big games that came out in 2015. There's a few games that I've missed that I've mentioned that I like to play. But for the most part, yeah, not so shabby. I'm feeling happy. And if I didn't play them, someone in the Dice Tower did. Like, for example, Jason played Food Chain Magnate, and Z played The Bloody End, etc. What's the soonest you realized a game would be awesome? When I was reading the rules. I was reading the rules for Duel of Ages way back in the day, and I was like, oh, this sounds so fun. Oh, it looks so good. And it really was good. Sometimes when I read a game, I'm like, oh, are you kidding? So it's usually reading the rules. Back of the box and everything, I'm like, I hope it's good. But when you read the rules, sometimes you can tell games can be great. Now, sometimes a game you're like, oh, this seems like pretty good. It doesn't work out so well. Or sometimes you're like, that doesn't sound very interesting from the rules, and it is. But there are sometimes you can just tell. You're like, oh, I can't wait to play this. Let's see. Have you seen the average price of games increase, decrease, or stay consistent over the years? It increases, and I'm always kind of surprised that people are shocked about this. The average price of everything has gone up over the years. So I don't see how the average price of games would be any different than that. But I don't even know what the average price of a game would be. I know you're a big fan of Origins. How do you feel it compares to Essen in regards to demos? I really like having people teach me games instead of open gaming. Origins has demos, but I don't know that I've ever heard anyone compare Origins to Essen before. They're just very different. Origins has a dealer hall, which is probably the third biggest board game dealer hall, although Board Game Geeks is almost as big. There's a lot of open gaming at Origins, but there's demos there. Asmodee has a booth, a big booth probably. Mayfair demos games there. All the companies demo games. You can get them demoed to you there for sure. You can even sign up for demos of games there. Do you post comment on BGG much? Well, that you can find out actually. If you subscribe to someone, if you find someone's avatar and you can click subscribe, you can see whenever that person does something on Board Game Geek. For all you know, I'm subscribed to you. I do subscribe to some people because I like to know when they say something or comment on something, and it's interesting to find out that information. So that's one way to find out what I do on Board Game Geek. Do you get stuck with the bad games most of the time, and how do you deal with getting Sam or Z to play them? Well, I don't always get stuck with the bad games, but usually. I don't mind reviewing bad games as much as they do, and I really like ripping up a game. One of the 5 games I reviewed today, I beat it up. I'm still mad thinking about that game. Who in your gaming circle makes you laugh the hardest? Probably Z. If the Dice Tower keeps expanding, what will the next job position to open? I have no idea. Like I said, we need to solidify, and we'll see from there. I really don't know. You know what I probably need next is a personal assistant, because I'm just so fancy that way. Do you think the Golden Geeks serve any function than providing a sticker for the box? I don't see how any award serves a function other than providing a sticker for the box. All of them, they foster discussion. They get people to point towards games. The games that win the awards can promote them. So I think they're very useful. Um, is it okay that games win multiple categories? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't agree with the wins. Like, I think Pandemic. Would I have voted for Pandemic Legacy for Best Game of the Year? No. I mean, it's amazing, but I voted for my top game of the year was Blood Rage, but I Pandemic Legacy is fine. I don't know. It's no big deal. Best strategy game. I see. I think that sometimes a game will win in a category because it's in that category. I don't think Pandemic Legacy was the best strategy game. Definitely was not the best thematic game, although it did provide a great thematic experience. So, I don't know. I don't disagree with the awards that much. It's not that big of a deal because it's just an award. Is Carcassonne the City still your favorite version of Carcassonne? It is. Um, let's see here. Has a general week or month been chosen for Sam's Robinson Crusoe gaming session? Will he be choosing the scenario? Actually, the Robinson Crusoe thing, we gotta trick up our sleeves about that one. So it's not gonna be for a bit yet, but we have a pretty interesting idea in regards to that one. I have to be able to see if I can pull it off, but if I can, it'd be fun. So you have to wait on that. The next thing you'll see from the live big events we have in May. May will be when Rodney Smith and Stephen Bonacore are showing up and playing games. So that will be a fun day of gaming. So you'll see that one next. There's a possibility that May might also be when we do our Twilight Imperium live, although I don't know. I'm not sure when that will be. Even though I told Sam just yesterday when it would be, but I can't remember what we said, agreed on. I know that we're going to be playing the Twilight Imperium 3 as a 4-player game just for camera purposes, and also space issues and things like that, but that should be entertaining, hopefully. Hey, it's 6:06. I spoke for over an hour, I think. I'm really sorry again that I started late. I should have checked and tested everything early in the morning, but it is what it is. I do appreciate everybody who sent in questions. I apologize if your questions did not get answered. I appreciate everybody watching. Some more Gamma stuff went up today, so you can check that out. Board Game Breakfast went up this morning. Tomorrow you will see some reviews go up. You will also see other stuff go up, maybe. I don't want to spoil anything. More Gamma stuff is going up tomorrow. We got a lot of cool stuff coming out this week. There's more alphabet lists. There's a top 5. Just wait and see. It's going to be a good week. I'm excited. Guys, thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vasel, and until next time, this has been Live Q&A in the dark. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na